Bobby, what's shaking, man?
Well, it's
How you
it's a
doing,
long
buddy? Happy
weekend.
Easter, man. Happy Easter,
Likewise,
brother.
Merry Easter. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's crack on. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Uh,
You got it, my brother.
Excellent. Uh, I'm going to start with obviously we're going to talk about the album. We're going to talk about some other stuff. I'm going to start with I saw a quote that you made years ago, and I think it really encapsulates who you are as a person because it covers your music, it covers your influences, it covers your faith, it covers your humor, who you are as a person. And it is, you once said that you converted to Catholicism so you could thank God for Black Sabbath.
Exactly. And I still thank God every day for Black Sabbath, especially on Easter, without a doubt.
Well, that's the reason why I wanted to start with that one today. I thought just a perfect weekend, perfect way to start the day, really. So
Without a doubt.
it'd be good to do that. So you got a new album out, Engines of Demolition. It's the 12th album. It's your first in 5 years, though, which is the longest you've gone in Black Label Society without dropping anything. Because we spoke 5 years
Totally.
ago for the last album. So what's happened in those 5 years that's caused the delay?
Well, I mean, obviously, the whole time it's we did Pantera celebration. So there's no sense in putting an album out if you can't give it any TLC, you know what I mean? If you can't support it. So to me, it didn't bother me at all. It was just like, well, we're doing Pantera Celebration now, and when after it does its run of us celebrating, Diamond, Vinny, and Philip and Rex, uh, then we'll put the record out. I mean, for me, it's all perspective. I was just looking at it like I'll just keep writing songs until we're good to go. And then the guys would keep coming out to the Vatican. We would track some more stuff. Then we go back out with Pantera Celebration. Then when I got back home after another year, it'd be like, all right, let's just track some more. I got some other song ideas. You know what I mean? So obviously, like something like Ozzy's song, I'm not going to write the lyrics to that if Oz hadn't passed away. You know what I mean? So so within that 4 years, obviously, when the first group of songs, like Name and Blood was in there probably in 2023, somewhere around there. But it morphed into what it became. But but the main riff and the song, it was kind of already there. But it's just but that morphed over the 3.5 years until it is what it is now. But so like I always say, nothing's a waste.
Mhm.
From the first Black Label album to where we're at now. It's just like, like with Zeppelin, if why didn't they write Zeppelin 4 first? With Stairway to Heaven and Black Dog and Going to California. They weren't there yet. So that's like saying 1, 2, and 3 for Zeppelin was a waste of time until they got to 4. No, but they had to do those 3 records to get them to 4. You know what I mean? So it's just like with Rush, Farewell to Kings, Spirit of the Radio, and then, and got him to Tom Sawyer and Limelight and everything. They had to do those records to get to moving pictures. You're not there yet. You know what I mean? So, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, for all of us, I mean, no matter who you are, you have to go from point A to get to point B, C, D, E, and F. Like if F is the destination, we got to go through all those other stages to get there. You know, so nothing's ever a waste.
It's not as if, I mean, you've been mentioning a whole bunch of bands there. It's not as if it was Guns N' Roses time where we're waiting 19 years for an album. It was only a couple of years. So did you find, and your musical style as well, mentioning people like Rush and Zeppelin, and of course, Sabbath as well, is is timeless. Like you don't have your new trends not in your music at all. So is that, do you feel that that's the reason why you can have a song like Name in Blood, which is a real balls to the wall song that opens the album? You can write that 3 years ago, and then it still sounds perfectly with the rest of the album now.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, when you listen to like AC/DC with whether it's the Girls Got Rhythm, Highway to Hell, Hell's Bells, Back in Black, like if they wrote those songs today, they would still be great songs. I think that's the whole thing. That's why Sabbath, I'm always in awe every time we go out on these Zakk Sabbath crusades. And obviously I'm still as in awe of it now that I'm 59 years old. It was so funny just the other day when we played in New Jersey. I had a whole bunch of my buddies that were at the gig, and all of them, we were playing these songs at keg parties in our friends' homes, like in the kitchens, basements, in the backyards, when we were all like 17 years old. And now we're all 59 years old. And I'm still playing, Children of the Grave. We're still playing Fairies Wear Boots, War Pigs, Snowblind, and I'm like, oh, this is insane. Like, I mean, it was just like, this is crazy. Where I'm having flashbacks going right back to when we were playing these keg parties in our
Mm.
friends' houses in high school back in 1984. So it's pretty amazing. So I was like, once again, I was like, thank you, God.
One thing you do need to do is your calendar behind you needs to turn over because it's March.
What's that, buddy?
Your calendar behind you, it's in March. It needs to be April now.
Oh well, I got the picture of Ozzy up there, so there we go.
That's fair
I
enough.
got the boss. That's all. I don't care whether it says March or what month or year it is. It's Ozzy. So there you go.
That works. And
I'm touring so
I,
much, anyways. I don't know. I don't know what month it is anyway. I just try and keep track of the days.
well, I was going to mention about that because I went through the touring schedule, and obviously today's Sunday over there, and I've noticed that most of the time you don't play on Sundays. Is that because of your faith or just the way the touring schedule is?
No, I think the tour. That's the touring schedule. Uh, it's just no. It's just I think Sundays because I think everybody, Friday and Saturday nights everybody's going out, and a lot of times people don't want to go out on Sundays. You know what I mean? Everyone's chilling out from after the brutality of Friday and Saturday. So everyone's recharging the batteries and they got work on Monday. So I think that's how that works out. But no, I mean, to me, every day is Sunday. It's a blessed day. Every day's a gift and every day's a blessing. So that's the way I always look at it.
In that, I mean, I mean, you're saying now you were 17. I think you're 19 at the time, maybe. You get plucked from obscurity uh, to be the guitarist in the Princess of Darkness's band. You then do Pride and Glory, who I saw at Donington back in
Oh wow,
'94, I think
very
it
cool.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
You do the one album. You do your solo stuff. Black Label Society comes out. You have I'm not going to use the word stint, but there was rumors with you in Guns N' Roses. Then Pantera comes along, um, and you become just this almost larger than life mythical creature. But anyone who's ever actually spoken to you knows that you're just like the guy next door, like you said, cake party having a beer. Like, does it blow your mind how it's all happened and how grateful you are for it?
Well, without a doubt, like I said, I thank God every day. I thank Christ when I wake up. I thank Him for brunch, lunch, dinner, midnight snack, and before my head hits the pillow every day. But I always have, So even before I started with the boss, I always thank God for everything I have. It really is the truth, man. Every day is a blessing and a gift, and you just gotta just conquer. And like I tell my kids, it just like be like your dad, do what you love. I don't tell my kids, you have to be like me, you have to be a musician or what. No, whatever you have passion for, and whatever it is that you love and brings you joy, that's what you should be doing in life, man. You know, it really is the truth, man. And it's just like, and you just be grateful and thankful. I always have been, so it's just like, and whatever, whatever rain falls on you, it happens to all of us. You just gotta, life is based on strength and resilience, man. You get knocked down, you get back up. It's just like my father being a D-Day Omaha Beach World War II vet and Ozzy. People are always like, Zakk, what did you learn from your father and Ozzy? I go, nothing I didn't already know. You live with the heart of a lion, man. You get knocked down, you get up and you plow through walls, and that's it. Because no one wants to hear about your excuses. No one wants to hear about you whining or complaining. Complaining doesn't fix anything, anyways. Was getting off the couch and doing something about it, and hiking up your skirt and rolling up your sleeves, that fixes problems. Just you can either be happy or miserable. And like I always tell everybody, you want to honor Dime or Vinny, then live like Dime and Vinny. They live like berserkers every day. Every day, man. It's like we could be miserable or we could be calling the guys firing up the barbecue right now and enjoying life. So they
Yeah.
would fire up the barbecue and enjoy life. And that's the way you should live your life, like a berserker to the fullest. Every day is a gift, man. It's the
So
truth.
I mean, that's basically your testimony to the world
Yeah,
and your walk.
it's the truth. And you be thankful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And happy Easter, brother.
Yeah. Happy Easter. Mm. So, the album itself, I mean, obviously, I know you would have been asked a million times about Ozzy's song. You've already mentioned it. I'll bring it up in there. I mean, obviously, that came in very late on the album. I'm guessing you may have already had the music. I listening to that for the very first time and going through the lyrics, I found it so incredibly emotional, especially the now the race is run line at the end when all is said and done. I couldn't ask for more. How cathartic was that for you to get your words out onto record?
No, I ended up, I had the music already written. And then, with, like you said, within those, from 2023 on, I was just stockpiling song ideas, you know what I mean? So I was real happy with the way the music came out. So I was like, I'll get around to that one eventually when I figure out what I usually always lyrics are always last anyways. So uh, and obviously whenever I could play you a riff or I could play you a song idea, and it usually inspires you to sing. It just comes out. So, uh, but after we laid Ozzy to rest, and we when Pantera Celebration wound down, I got home and I was sitting in our little library we have in our house, and must have been like 1 o'clock in the morning. I put the headphones on. I was looking at a book of Ozzy, and I just wrote those lyrics. So just thinking of him and everything like that. So that's where the lyrics came from.
It's emotional. It was from a fan's perspective. Obviously, we have a different connection than what you would have. It was actually very that's what I'm looking for. Probably, I felt a connection to you because then you realize, how close you are to somebody, and those lyrics can then be moved for, say, our relationship with our own people in our own lives. So, I mean, I thought it
Yeah, yeah.
was incredibly all encompassing in that aspect. Moving from that, because I know you get asked about that all the time. Australia, when are we going to see you back here again?
Well, hopefully we'll be down there. Father John Howarth. John, he's a Black Label brother of ours. Ever since Black Label's been torn down there, we've been with John. But I still text him all the time and everything like that. So hopefully, talking about Dorian Yates and the state of the planet and solving the problems of the world. Always, you know what I mean. So we need more. How we need more Odin Force and Valhalla Java and more lifting weights in our life. But no, hopefully, we'll be down there. Obviously, the goal is, obviously, we went down there with Pantera Celebration to be back down there with Black Label as well. So, and then obviously, usually we always go down to Australia, New Zealand, and then we'll go over to Asia, you know what I mean? So to see go with all the Japanese chapters and everything like that. So that's the game plan.
Nice. Fingers crossed it'll be very soon. I touched on this earlier. This is a real personal one for me because one of my favorite bands growing up was Guns N' Roses, and I have to ask, how close were you to joining the band?
Well, no, I knew Slash and I knew Duff and Steven when the band, when they were exploding, back when I first started with Ozzy. So and then I never met Axel and anything like that before. So or Izzy, I never met him before. But But I remember Axel, I spoke with Axel on the phone. He was like, Zakk, we were talking about guitar players, and Slash mentioned, we were saying, well, what about Zakk? Why don't we ask Zakk if he wants to jam? Because I guess Gilby wasn't playing with him at that point. And I'm buddies with Gilby now. My wife does her podcast with Gilby's wife, Daniela. And but I was just like, yeah, sure. So it was just like, you want to, jam? Yeah, we figured, and obviously it's like me joining the Stones. I would be Ronnie Wood. I mean, because Keith, Slash is the Keith Richards of that band. And it's Mick and Keith, and I know the dynamic of the band. Me going in, it is what it is. So just don't get in the way. So, but I was like, yeah, sure. And I remember we were working on Osmosis at the time with the boss. We had a great time working on that record with Michael Beinhorn, Geezer, and Dean Castronova and the boss. So we were working on Osmosis at the time, and Axel was like, Zakk, yeah, maybe we can get together in between when you're working with Oz, and then we'll get together and do some. So I was like, yeah, sure, man. So we were getting together, jamming, and then we were doing some stuff over at Duff's house and demoing ideas and everything like that, and everything was great. I mean, we were just all jamming, having a good time, but it was just up in the air and nothing was happening. And then Oz was like, Zakk, are you going to be jamming with the fellas, or are we going to get together and do this tour? Well, I said, Oz, let me find out what's going on with the guys. And then it was just everything was up in the air. And then Oz was asking me, he was like, Zaggy, he goes, look, I'm gonna have to get somebody because Zakk, I can't have you like in the middle of a tour leaving and going. I said, no, and I was like, I understand, Oz, whatever. So that's when Joe Holmes came in, and I'm buddies with Joe, and then and Joe's amazing. So Joe was out with the boss, and then nothing was happening with Guns, and it was just I was in limbo for a little while there. So it was just like I'm gonna have to, and basically Black Label was born out of that. So because
Okay.
I took, like so the Rose Petal Garden was one of the demos, one of the song ideas that we had, and I had some of these other riffs laying around. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it myself. So that's basically out of that. I wasn't playing with Oz. I wasn't playing with Guns. Black Label was born, and here we are, 30 years later, coming up on.
The one last one, because I actually spoke to Charlie 3 weeks ago, Charlie Benante, because he's been here with
Yeah,
Anthrax.
exactly.
Lovely fella. Nice guy.
Yeah, Charlie's the
Uh,
best. Yeah, without a doubt. Everybody loves Charlie. I mean, Carla loves Charlie. That's why she married him. I was there for that.
yeah, they like that as well. Mm. In regards to the Pantera thing, because that came out of the blue at the time. There was always talk about it, but then it obviously all happened. I mean, what's the longevity aspect of that? Is that kind of done its dust, or is it just going to keep going and going and going while people are happy to hear the music?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could do it. As long as Philip and Rex want to do it, me and Charlie will always be there to celebrate Dime and Vinny and Philip and Rex with this awesome thing that they created. You know what I mean? So because it really is a community. I mean, because when we were doing the shows, you have the whole Pantera faithful that saw them when they saw Pantera back when they were playing in front of 8 people at a bar and grill. And then you have all the younger kids coming up going, I only heard about the legend of Pantera through my dad and my uncle that told us how great Pantera is and everything like that. So to me, it's no different than when I do like Experience Hendrix. There's people that have actually there that have actually seen Jimi Hendrix, and
Jesus.
then you have people, younger kids that are like obviously are there to celebrate Jimmy's greatness. And between Eric Johnson playing, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Kingfish, Eric Gales. I mean, everybody up there honoring Jimmy. So to me, it's no different than that. It's a beautiful thing.
I appreciate time is at premium for you. I did mention it very briefly. I 10 words or less. Pride and Glory. Are we ever going to see anything from them again?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I just always we had a blast. Me, James, and Brian had a blast when we made that album. It was a lot of fun. It was almost kind of like not being in your mom and dad's house and having your own little apartment. And even though as small as it is, it's me, you, and Andy, and we're all hanging out. And it's like, man, this is so cool. We're not at home anymore. You know what I mean? So, yeah, because I mean, being with Ozzy, it was that always having that security blanket of, your parents and your home. You know what I mean? So, but now we're on our own. So it was that kind of excitement when we made that record, and we had that was an amazing time. We had an amazing time making that record, and I'm still buddies with James and Brian. So yeah, you never know.
Some great songs on there. So I think they shouldn't go to waste either. Look, on that, I do appreciate your time because I know you've got a lot on. Zakk, thank you very much. Merry Easter
Thank
again.
you, my brother. Well, happy Easter, brother, and God bless. I'll talk to you in a bit, bro.
See you soon. Take care.